Hello everybody, my name is Natalia Leigh and I am the author of the young adult novels Highborn and Way of Spears, and today we're going to be talking about how week one of NaNoWriMo 2017 went for me. Okay, so I'm gonna be honest with you. Week one did not go very well, but my plans for NaNoWriMo and my goals and what I'm trying to achieve have also changed. So today is the 8th day of NaNoWriMo. On the 8th day of NaNoWriMo, I'm supposed to be sitting at 13,333 words, and I am about 10,000 words behind. So I'm actually sitting at 3,641 words. And if I were participating in normal NaNoWriMo, that would be way behind. But my goals, like I said, have also changed. So originally, I was going to write a totally new novel that I had kind of work in progress titled Twice Born. But then I decided, no, I don't want to do that. I have been hard at work on annotations for Song of the Dryad. So rather than jumping into a completely new world with a bunch of new characters, I decided to stick in the Song of the Dryad world and work on book 2. So I was going to write 50,000 words of book 2. But then day one of NaNoWriMo rolled around, the first day of November, and I realized that after NaNoWriMo last year, I had to trash 50,000 words. Well, a little less than that, probably like 49,000 words. And that was, I was thankful that I did NaNoWriMo because it got me going on this new idea and, it got me writing again because I hadn't been writing at that point last year. So I was thankful for that, but it's never a good feeling to throw away that much work and that much effort. And I knew that at this point in my writing career, I did not want to write 50,000 words and then just throw them away. I don't think that would be beneficial to me right now. So rather than do that, rather than write a novel, I decided that I was going to use the month of November to outline Song of the Dryad Book 2. Now, this outline may end up being 12,000 words. It might be 25,000 words. It definitely will not be 50,000 words, so you will not see me hitting 50K. So when you see my word count slowly kind of creeping up on the NaNoWriMo website, it's not because I have hit a wall, it's not because I'm in a writing slump, it's because I'm working on my outline, and my outline is not growing as quickly as a novel would be growing, because this outline is something that needs to be carefully thought out and it needs to be pieced together very purposefully, because I will use this outline to then write Song of the Dryad Book 2 in 2018. So like I said, I am sitting at 3,641 words and I have outlined through chapter 8. I'm like in the middle of outlining chapter 8, and what I've been doing is I have one document that has a bunch of ideas in it. So every time I get a random idea, I put it in that brain dump page. And then after I've kind of sifted through those ideas and figured out how things work together, I take those ideas and I put them in my outline page. And that page is the one that is at 3,641 words. So if I looked back at the brain dump page, there is another 1,000 words sitting there right now, waiting for me to figure out what to do with all of those ideas. So there you have it. This is why my word count is so low compared to everybody that's been working really hard. And I want to say thank you to everybody that has messaged me on NaNoWriMo or on Twitter or on Instagram. You guys have been motivating me and encouraging me, and I really appreciate it, because I feel like I put out these videos to try to inspire and encourage you, and then in return, I'm receiving messages of positivity and encouragement, and it just brings a smile to my face every single time one of those ends up in my inbox. So thank you so much to everybody that has been sending me positive thoughts. I really appreciate it, and believe me, it does help. So I put out a call this morning on Instagram and Twitter letting everybody know that I was filming this video and wanted some questions, and these are the ones that I received. Okay, so the first question I got was via Twitter, and Bree asks, I am curious as to what your annotations look like in the copy of the Song of the Dryad that you ordered. So I have Song of the Dryad right here with me, and I'm going to show you a few pages and kind of just what my annotations look like while I am going through this whole process. And you can see that I am this close to being done. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm actually just going to show you the very first page. Now the first page is my prologue. It is a very short prologue. And what I did here was, up here I wrote good. So I kind of put brackets around what I thought sounded good there. And then I wrote imagery, describe the feel of the night up here because I wasn't using enough descriptive language. I was telling instead of showing. So I made sure to make that note there. Again, down here I have something in brackets that says good. And then at the very bottom it says middle knees work. It's hard to picture what's going on. Make the reader feel the forest around them. So this again goes back to more imagery and detail. So this is just like a basic page that you would see. There are also pages that look like this. So they literally get a massive X through them because I am cutting that entire section. So you can see this page is all X'd out. Either I'm cutting that whole section or I'm changing something so that section becomes irrelevant. And then I know. But you can see here that I always do a summary at the end of the chapter. I went ahead and I wrote my summary at the end of this chapter. And for chapter 15, I wrote, I really enjoyed this chapter. I mostly need to focus on adding more detail and imagery, build up the setting a bit more, and slow the pace down. So that is just like my overall feeling at the end of the chapter. So I will always read that first in my edits and then start going through and making these small detail edits. At the end of chapter 13, I also wrote, slow down the pace and add more imagery. So that is becoming a regular occurrence for me throughout these annotations. So I know that when I do my first round of edits, I really need to hit the imagery hard because I kind of skimmed over it in the first draft because I was just writing so quickly that I kind of avoided going into too much detail about sensory descriptions. And I want to make sure that I really flesh those out in the second draft. Question number 2 comes from Ryan on Twitter, and he says, aside from an outline, do you do any sort of daily planning before you write, or do you just hit the next item on your outline? I'm curious if you plan ahead, which items from your outline you plan to write that day. I don't do much preparation, so like you said, I will read through my outline and I will read through the last chunk of work that I wrote, but I write straight through the novel. I do not jump around and write a bunch of different scenes because if I did that, then I would never want to write the transition scenes because for me, it's usually like there's these big scenes that I'm excited to write, but the characters need to transition from one big scene to the next big scene. And sometimes that transition can feel a little bit slow or boring. And if I jumped around to all the fun scenes, I would never want to write the transition scenes. And I also feel that as I am writing my novel, I am getting to know the novel better and I'm getting to know the characters better. So the characters are different at the beginning than they are at the end because I have spent 100,000 words with them and I have come to know them a lot better. So if I was skipping all around, I don't feel like I would be able to tell the story truthfully because if I wrote the end first, I wouldn't actually know the character by that point. I would need to spend the entire book with the character before I could write them at the end. So I always write in a straight line. So I never choose what I'm going to work on that day. It's just the next thing on my outline, the next scene that I need to write to, keep everything kind of cohesive and working together. That is what I will work on. All right, the next question on Twitter comes from Mackenzie, and she says, how do you work Nano around your everyday schedule? My everyday schedule typically has writing time and work time built into it. So my typical schedule is I wake up around 7 o'clock in the morning. I get my coffee, I feed my cats because they're screaming at me by that point in the morning. And then I come into my office, which is right here, and I get to work. And usually I will be writing or outlining or working on annotation notes for Song of the Dryad. Recently, I have had a bunch of critique clients, so I am working on their novels or their outlines in the morning, and I will do that until about 11 o'clock. and then I will go and do all my pet sitting visits, and then I will return home, usually around 3 o'clock, and then I will get back to work. Unfortunately, I work really, really well in the morning, and I do not work very well in the evening, even the early evening. So by the time I get home from my pet sitting visits, I am kind of out of my creative mode. So then I'll do stuff like chores around the house and vacuuming and answering emails and stuff like that. So to answer your question, if I was trying to work Nano into my everyday, and what I'm doing now, you know, with outlining for Nano, I always do it first thing in the morning. You know, even if I only spend 20 minutes on it or, 45 minutes on it, it'll be the first thing that I do in the morning, and then the rest of my day can go on as planned. So it is a bit easier for me because I already have that chunk of time dedicated to my writing and my creative pursuits. It's already built into my day. So when Nano rolls around, it's really easy to just say, okay, Nano fits right here in that block of time, and that is when I'm going to work on it. So Mary on Instagram asked, what's worked best for you? Breaking the count up into a few sprints, or just write all 1,667 words at once? Typically, I like to write all the words at one time because, like I said in the previous answer, I have a block of time built into my day that is specifically for my creative pursuits and specifically for writing when I am working on a draft. But there are also some days when my boyfriend and I will go to our favorite little coffee shop, and we do that typically after he gets off of work. So that will be later in the day. And if that were the case, then I might break up that word count goal into 2 sittings because I would know that I was going to be at the coffee shop and working that night. But for the most part, because I'm not very creative in the evenings, I want to get all of my words written in the morning, and that means getting it all done in the block of time between like 7 and 11 or 8 and 11, depending on what time I actually sit down at my desk and start writing. So I would prefer to get everything written at once while I am in my most creative brain space of the day. All right, everybody, thank you so much for sending in your questions. I always really, really enjoy receiving those and answering them for you. Again, I want to say thank you to everybody that has been supporting me and motivating me and pushing me toward my goals for NaNoWriMo. I did just want to let you know, though, that again, you will not see me hitting 50,000 words this November because I'm working on a very complex and massive outline rather than a quick first draft of a new novel. So I think that is about it for now. The other thing that I wanted to say is that I recently hit 3,000 subscribers on YouTube, and I want to say thank you so much to every single one of you that has hit that subscribe button. I am just blown away by the support that I have received, and I thank you so much for all that support. So in celebration of hitting 3,000 subscribers on YouTube, I am doing a 30% off sale on Highborn and Way of Spears. So if you check my links down below, you can purchase those ebooks for 30% off for the next 7 days. I'm going to be doing it for a week. I really hope that those of you that would like to pick up the books but haven't yet will be able to now that they are 30% off. I am still offering first chapter critiques and outline critiques. I have been having an absolutely amazing time working with my clients, and I do want to say that it means so much to me. It really is an honor that you guys allow me to read your work. Your writing is incredibly personal much of the time, and I definitely have had experience with letting people read my personal work because I do have a degree in English with a concentration in creative writing, and that means that I spent a lot of time peer reviewing short stories and sharing my novel chapters with my classes, and it's always very difficult to receive critique on something that you've really poured your heart into. So I want to say thank you to those of you that have trusted me with your work, and I also just want to remind those of you that are working on something right now or maybe have an outline that's ready that I would love to help you strengthen it and fall even more in love with your world and your characters and the story that you're creating. All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching today. Keep working really hard to hit your word count goals for NaNoWriMo, whether that's 15,000 words or 50,000 words. Let's continue to work hard and strive toward our goals. All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching today, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.